Paylocity presents Affordable Care Act Common Questions. Today's question comes from Anaheim, California. And that question is, what consideration needs to be given when dealing with seasonal employees? As it turns out, there's quite a few things we need to consider as it relates to seasonal employees. The first thing is what a seasonal worker or employee actually is. In the definition specified in the Affordable Care Act, a seasonal worker is not limited to someone working in agriculture or retail. An employer can apply a reasonable, good faith interpretation of the term seasonal worker. There are a couple key considerations for seasonal workers. The first of which that hours for seasonal workers must be counted and included in our subject hours when determining large employer status. Now, if you recall, when we're trying to determine if an employer is a large employer, we take the hours of sub-service in a given month, and then we take the first 120 hours worked by each employee if they're not full-time, and we calculate the number of full-time equivalents. Hours worked by seasonal workers need to be included in that total. In general, when setting up measurement periods for tracking whether or not variable hour employee is full-time, the longer the measurement period used, the less likely it is for a seasonal worker to qualify for full-time status. So, for example, if I run a landscaping company in the Midwest that has its peak season between, let's say, May and August, if my measurement period is a full 12 months, unless all hours worked over that 12-month period equal 30 hours or more per week, that employee would not generally be considered full-time. So, in essence, you'd be taking 5 months worth of work, spreading it out over 12 months in the measurement period, and you can see where in many cases it would be difficult for a seasonal worker to qualify for full-time status in that case. There will likely be some further guidance for 2015 plan years around defining what constitutes a seasonal worker. There are also a number of very specific industry qualifications as it relates to this definition. One explicitly mentioned in particular is that educational staff working on a 9-month calendar cannot be treated as a seasonal worker. For them, there are likely to be some specific rules as to how their hours are measured for variable hour employees on educational staff for determining their full-time average hours and hence their benefit eligibility under shared responsibility. Be sure to visit the healthcare forum page on Paylocity.com for more questions and answers and informative videos about the Affordable Care Act.